Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, good evening and welcome back to Predicting Tranquility, the show where we constantly prove how scuffed we really are in terms of predictions every single week. My name is Bowsy, and I will be your host for tonight. And as always, I'm joined by my wonderful two analysts. First off, we have returning from week one, it's Nerfed or NRFT from the Infernal Foxes. How are you doing today, Nerfed?
I'm doing pretty good.
Definitely good to hear. It's definitely interesting to see what sort of predictions they have. And also, returning from the Iris podcast and from 2 weeks ago, it's the one and only Navino from Joey Esports. How are you doing today, Navino?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Ivan.
Yeah, not a lot of comments from everybody. Just
I mean,
vibing, just surviving. That's the will of the land in this sort of world. But we're gonna get started here, of course, as our usual tradition goes. We are here to break down all 42 matches happening this week. 84 teams will be covered. When we covered in some sort of capacity, we'll be predicting each of them based on their tier and their score line and the matches up. If we get 1 point if we get the correct match prediction. We get 3 points if we get the correct match score. So it's going to be an interesting show, and we're really excited to kick it off. And speaking of kick it off, we're about to get started here with our first group, which is EU Harmony A. NRFT, take it away.
All right, in our first match, we got Feeders United versus Thunderbolt Rewind. Everybody unanimously going with United right there. Our second match, we get a little bit more diverse with our picks. Bowsy picked a 4-0 Acer against A10. I went 2-3 for A10, and Navino picks 3-1 Acer. And then for our last match, we got Orthus versus Apollo. Everybody going in favor of Apollo. However, I am the only 4-0. Everybody else going 3-1.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Again, EU has always been the sort of like weird tier where everything goes and you can have like a bunch of results. I'm interested to hear your take on this, Nerf. You're the only person who has predicted A10 to win over a Seer. Is there any sort of reason that you would like to make that prediction here?
Yeah, I think A10 has kind of had a little rough, a little bit of a rougher schedule. They played Feeders, Apollo, and Orthus. And I think that going to 5 with Feeders back in week 2, I think that was a pretty good showing for them. So I think while they haven't gotten results yet, I think in the future they have a very high chance of getting something done.
Okay, definitely a good take there, and it's gonna be interesting to see if a Seer or A10 will come out of that match. Definitely the match to watch here in EU Harmony Pool A. But now we're heading over to EU Harmony Group B, and of course we have to start with we have to bring it over to Navino, who's gonna be covering EU Harmony B. Take it away, Navino.
So first we got Feeders United versus Thunderbolt Rewind. We all have Feeders United winning. All of us have 3-1 because Thunderbolt definitely capable of taking the map, but I don't think
You're looking at the wrong tier. You're looking at EU Harmony Group A.
Oh wait, what?
You're Group B.
Oh, my bad. Paid to win versus Hellhounds. That's what I'm looking at.
Yes.
I Bowsy has a 4-0 for paid to win. I thought I predicted paid to win, but I guess it didn't. But Nerfed and I got Hellhounds winning 3-1, and then we have Scrimbucks versus Frequency. We all got a 4-0. It's kind of hard to go against them for right now. And then you have Snowball Gold versus Venice Vipers. We all have Venice Vipers winning. Venice Vipers is top 4 team. Snowball Gold hasn't been doing that hot. I really think it's pretty typical, except maybe the Hellhounds paid to win.
Yeah, definitely. I think Hellhound versus Pay to Win is going to be interesting. And also, like, I'm looking at your forum response here, Navino, and you did say you wanted Hellhounds to win 3-1 over Pay to Win.
Maybe I'm just Papega then.
Listen, we're all a little bit Papega. Haven't you seen the last 2 times I've been in this setting when we streamed? Let's hope it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen today. I've changed the settings on the stream, so hopefully we shouldn't be dropping frames. We haven't dropped any frames yet, so we hopefully are going to be dropping any frames. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which one comes out of that sort of matchup, and not really a lot of variance here. EU Harmony Group B, after chaos for the last few weeks, is finally starting to settle, and we're starting to get an idea of what that tier is going to look like. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now let's move on to the next group, which is let's move back across the pond, back over here to North America, and start off with North American Harmony Aurum A. And I did the wrong transition. Sorry about that. But I hope, nonetheless, heading into our first match, which is Koala Kings versus Fighting Potatoes. Unanimous decision here on the desk. We all think it's going to be in favor of the Fighting Potatoes. Next up is Shake and Bake. Or no, not in Fighting Potatoes.
I was like, what?
Koala Kings. Koala Kings. I am tired. It has been a long day. And I'm also back in the setup. Next up, Shake and Bake versus Chrysalis. All of us are in favor of Chrysalis. I'm the only person that thinks it's going to be a map 5, while NRFT and Navino think it's going to be a 3-1 for Chrysalis. Definitely be interesting to see how that goes. And our final match of the week is Nemesis versus Strix. So far, right now, is going to be interesting. Me and Navino both think that Strix are going to get the win, 1-3 and 2-3 respectively, but Nerfed going for Nemesis, getting their 3rd win of the season and ruining Strix's streak this season. Definitely an interesting score there, Nerfed.
Yeah. I think Nemesis are highly underrated. Like, they've put up some good performances, and despite their loss against Koala this week, they weren't in the top 8 on the Iris top 8 this week. I think they should have been. This is going to be, I think, Strix's first real test, and I think that they're going to give them a little bit more trouble than people think.
Yeah, I really think Strix has played they played Chrysalis with ringers. They played against Chrysalis had ringers. Like, they were missing their off tank, and I think they were missing 2 people. And
Yes.
then they played Shake and Bake, and I know they took a map off Koala, but Shake and Bake, Koala went up 3-0 and just kind of trolled last map because it was their first game. And then who else? And they played Five Potatoes. So I do wonder how this game will be kind of a shock to the system for Strix, with playing against teams that, especially DPS, that can test PvB. That's PvB is kind of there's no offense to the DPS of the other teams playing, but there's been no DPS that have been able to contest them the entire time. And now they're playing against Chad, and I actually do not remember the name of the other Nemesis DPS, but Chad's pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how Strix go up against Nemesis, especially, as you said, this is their big first test. I also would not be surprised if Shake and Bake and Chrysalis came out with an upset for Shake and Bake, because Chrysalis, they did recruit Sergeant Pepper last week. I will give them credit. They actually have some DPS power now, but it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be able to synergize with Sergeant Pepper. Is that synergy going to come in at the right point? Is Sergeant Pepper going to be able to bring Chrysalis to victory here? But definitely a lot of interesting matches here in Harmony RMA, apart from that first one where I feel like Koala King's just going to get that win. But it'll be interesting to see if Fighting Potatoes put up a fight. But now, out of RMA, out of these sort of debates here, let's move on to Harmony RMB. Nerfed, take it away.
All right, our first match. Everybody in favor of Frostbloom versus Boop. Navino giving them the 5th map, but yeah, everybody else going 3-1. Our second match is Luminous Foxes versus Fahrenheit. I don't even remember the numbers.
972.
972. Everybody in favor of Luminous. However, Navino the only one going for a 4-0 there. And our last match, I think, going to be the closest one here. Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies get their first test against Big Bang. Bowsy going 3-2. Everybody else 3-1. I think this is going to be a good match.
You definitely mentioned, this is their first big test. Navino, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I said this in the podcast. I think the script's really easy. It's FBRDs to lose. I didn't think the Limits has been consistent. I don't think Big Bang's been that great either. And then, I just think the script's overall pretty easy. And so I said 3-1 because I do think Big Bang's good enough to take a map. I just don't think they'll get past that.
All right, it'll definitely be interesting. This is their first big test for FBRD because their matches. Me and Nerfed were talking about this before the show actually aired. Their matches so far have not been the best test of time. So I think this is going to be their really big first test in terms of how well they do in terms of this season and in this stage. So definitely going to be interesting. And if this isn't their test, next week definitely will be Nerfed, and you can vouch for me on that. But enough about
Luminous, right?
They play Luminous next week. So if they get out of this match this week or easy, wait until next week because it's going to be a challenge. But enough about next week. The future is not now. The present is now. And we're going to be moving on to the next tier, which is NA Harmony Indigo A. Navino, take it away. Please tell me you're on the right image this time.
Sass over. Turbo Throws versus Steam is the first matchup.
Yes.
And I have Turbo Throws winning, so does Nerfed. Bowsy is deciding to vouch for Steam somehow. Then we got Frostnova versus Squall. I have Frostnova winning. 3-1, so it's nerfed, and then Bowser is 4-0. And then we have AP versus Gatekeepers, 4-0 from Bowsy, 4-0 from me, 3-1 from Nerfed. I kind of use a transitive property for most of these because to me, it's like I kind of have the same issue with Indigo A that I do with RMB. That Indigo A seems really, really easy because like amateur professionals are winning their games. The closest game they played is against Frost Nova, and I don't think Frost Nova's looked that great. And they're like they should not drop a map in this group, in my opinion. But they are, and so yes, I think they beat Gehenna, but like we'll see how they do the rest in stage 2.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Frost Nova do. Obviously, having that very weak start to start off the season, but they've had a lot of roster changes. They recently moved their main tank Florida over to Frost Bloom, and they've recently promoted as Xeno over to the main tank role. So they've had a lot of changes
I think
here.
he's been splitting time the entire time. Like he's been playing 2 maps.
I think as Xeno has mainly been their flex DPS, and now he's switched over to the main tank role. So
I thought he played. I swear he played it week 1.
I think Xeno's played a little bit of main tank. I think just having stability at that position will just like kind of level up Frost Nova, definitely. Because main tank's the role that you don't want to be swapping that out.
Yeah, definitely. And I can vouch for that. Back on Strix season 6, you do not want to swap out your main tank, especially when you're 3-1 in the series and you swap them in. Anyway, away from that, I'm gonna vouch for my Steam versus Turbo Throwers pick here because this seems obviously like the outlier here. I still am cautious about Turbo Throwers after like they had to do their roster construction. Like, yes, they had to go against amateur professionals last week, and that was kind of hard. But I still think they need help. I still think they need a little bit of time to get that roster together. I do have them taking a map off of Steam, but it'll be interesting to see if they're able to take it. I would not be surprised whatsoever if Turbo Throwers took the series off of Steam. Not be surprised whatsoever.
They have pieces, like they know what they're doing. Now they've had an extra week. I don't think Steam has looked more lost than any team I've seen in the tier at this point.
Yeah.
Like that being said, they drew a map for amateur professionals. Like it's not all the darkness. I still think they take a map off Turbo Throwers. I just don't see them winning right now.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see how that matchup shakes up. But now to end out the Harmony tier, we go over to Harmony Indigo B, which doesn't have a lot of surprises here on the desk, but I'm still going to bring them up anyway. First off, our first match, Wildfire versus Jersey Boys. I forgot to change these scores. I should remember to do that later. But still, we all have Jersey Boys winning 4-0 here on the desk. Next up is Geometric versus Doodles. Again, all of us in favor of Geometric. I'm the only person who thinks Doodles will take 2 maps. NRFT and Navino think it'll be 1 map for Doodles. And our final matchup here in Indigo B is Galactic Penguins versus 3.5. Everybody in favor of the Penguins. I'm the only person who thinks 3.5 will take a map off of them. So this is definitely going to be the interesting week for all of these teams. This is like the last week before we actually decide seeding. And I think all these matches are pretty much going to decide the seeding for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Doodles haven't played like the one hard team they played was it Jersey Boys or Galactic?
It was Jersey.
Yeah.
And they got 4-0'd.
Yeah.
Geo did get 4-0'd by Jersey, but inherently was closer from what I watched. And I just think Geo will be more consistent. So I just don't see anything. And also, I don't know what I know that like 3.5 took a map off Geo. But there's no way, and a map off Doodles. But there's no way in heck to take a map off GP. Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll see. Also, I'm gonna verify that for you. Doodles faced off against Galactic Penguins in week 1. They faced off against Jersey,
and they got 4-0'd, right?
Yeah, they did get 4-0 by Galactic. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and Doodles probably get 4-0'd by Jersey Boys at this rate.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how these matches fare out because obviously Indigo B definitely has a lot of sort of wild cards. We kind of know who the top teams are, but we don't at the same time. Like I've been a Geometric stan this entire season, and then they disappoint me, and it's just like now I don't know who's the top team in this.
I'm so hurt.
Yeah, I literally like that win that Jersey Boys got last week crushed me. I was like, why would you do this to me? I have trusted you. I have trusted you, Geometric. But enough of like putting out my sorrows on team. That's what the vent channels are for. Now let's move over to Discord RMA. Nerfed, take it away.
All right. For RMA and Discord, we got Firefight versus Renegades in our first match. Balzi going 3-1. Me and Navino picking Renegades to win this one. I'm going 3-2. Navino going 1-3. our next two matches a little bit less interesting. 4-0 domination against Monarch for everybody, and again across the board, everybody picking Valkyrie 4-0 against Storybook Heroes.
Yeah, also, I'm sorry, Nerf, this was not in your image, but I actually changed my score before this was posted. I actually said 3-2 in terms of firefight.
Wow, shake my head, lying to us like this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, I listen. We all get bashed once in a while, but yeah, I think Renegades versus Firefight is going to be an interesting match because Firefight coming off of 2 tough losses in a row, one to Valkyrie or one to Domination and one to Valkyrie, both 4-0s, which you could argue
they
Domination.
took a map. I thought they took a map off Dom, or did they not?
They did not. I'm pretty sure.
No, they're sitting 4-8, I think, right now.
No, it was Storybook who took a map off of Dom last week.
Right, yeah.
Bro, what? But
yeah. It was last map. It was 4th map. They took a map off of Dom.
I do think, in terms of like who I think wins, like Renegades has just shown that they're able to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Firefight not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Firefight, obviously, like, they've lost to Dom and they've lost to Valk. They did win against Monarch, but Monarch is probably the bottom of this grouping right now, so it'll be interesting how, if they're able to take this win off of Renegades. I'm taking it basically because I think Firefight are the better team. Renegades season has been Storybook, Monarch, and I believe Valkyrie. They did take 5 maps off of Valkyrie, but Valkyrie has said that they were not prepared for that, and they shouldn't have brought it to 5 maps. But if Renegade's upset, by all means, good. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. If you upset, then that's cool. Like I will consider you one of the top players in this group right now.
Yeah.
But sorry, what were you saying?
What pushed it over for me was just like I think Firefight has been going through a couple of roster changes. Like they picked up Thor recently. They dropped Try, I think, today.
Yes, Try was dropped.
I mean, roster changes typically aren't indications of anything good, especially when you got 0-8 on maps in the last 2 matches. So, yeah, I think this will be a little bit of growing pains for Firefight right now.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how Firefight pan out this season. But now we're moving on from RMA, and we're going to be heading over to RMB. Navino, take it away.
All right, we got Strix versus Oath. Bowsy's 4-0. Nerf has 3-1. I have a 3-2. Oath took a map off CC. I think they actually have potential, and I think they're getting better each week. And I think Drakes have looked worse each week, if I'm being real. You know, they 4-0'd Surge, then went to map 5 Regicide and lost 3-1 to Quaka.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't give me confidence. I think they win, but I think it'll be another close one. Because I feel like they play up or down to who they're playing, to be honest. And it's not really a great look for when you're trying to be consistent, right? Then you have Surge versus Regicide. Both Nerfed and I have Surge winning.
Yes.
And then Bowsy has Regicide winning.
Mm-hmm.
I have it to go into map 5. Both Bowsy and Nerfed having 4 maps. I think Frost Surge has more consistency, as I said. I don't think Regicide is really going to be able to get over the hump, you know, and just beat a team that's improved each week like Surge.
Yeah.
And then you have Quaka versus Cosmic Castaways. You know, I had to rep my boys here. You know, I had to rep my boys. And I said, and like, this is coming from someone that like, has scrimmed them. Like Joey and QQ have scrimmed a ton, and I think that they are good. You know, they've improved so much each week. And Mattson is just, to me, probably one of the best DPS in the tier. He was one of the best last season, and this is really like his brainchild, this team, him and Rocket. But you both have 3-1 for Cosmic Castaways. I have a 3-2 for QQ. I think it can go either way, but it'll be a fun match to watch.
Yeah, also, I'm actually really interested to see that match because that is a preseason rematch. And it's funny because I write down everything in this notebook, and I have all the preseason results. Right there, if you can barely see it, CC versus Quaka Queens was a 3-1 in favor of CC. That's why I chose that score specifically. I think it's going to be a good match, though, and I'm excited to see that. And also, I would like to back up my Regicide. As you mentioned, Navino, they went to map 5 up against Drakes. So I feel like there is a potential that they might do good. Obviously, Drake's, they have picked up brand new players since last week, so it'll be interesting to see how they're able to bring that out. They picked up Unfeatured, I'm pretty sure, or Unchanged or Unfeatured.
He played in the QQ game.
Yeah, so they're probably still synergizing with him, so we'll see if they're able to bring it in their favor. But definitely a lot of interesting matches to watch here in Discord RMB. Again, this Kawaka Queens versus Cosmic Castaways, I'm also mad about this because this was supposed to be the feature this week.
Blame Vix. Blame Vix. That's all I gotta say. Blame Vix.
When shouldn't I blame Vix?
Excellent question. Excellent
Yeah,
question.
that was going to be a good feature, but whatever. Blame Vix. Blame Vix in the chat. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these pan out, and I'm really very excited to see how these matches pan out through Discord RMB. But enough about Discord RMB. It is my turn to cover Discord Indigo A, which many of us call the group of death, and for good reason. Now, this first match, definitely interesting. Because Nerfed, I don't have a score for you for Rampaging Inferno versus Inferno bosses.
Yep.
You said 0-0 for that score, which is interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember why. I was kind of like going back and forth, like, and then I was like, I don't want to predict. It hurts.
It hurts. Okay, it will definitely hurt when you hear that both me and Navino picked 3-2 for Rampaging Inferno over Inferno Foxes this week. The Inferno Brawl not going in favor of the Inferno Foxes.
I mean, you guys did just get a new DPS, right?
Yeah, they just got Icy today.
Icy from Arctic, right? They played on Arctic, right?
No, different Icy.
Oh, different Icy.
Yeah, but just as good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what skewed me to do the 3-2 here, because I don't know what Icy is like, and I want to see how they perform. And I almost picked Inferno, but I almost said like 3-1 for Rampaging. I'm like, I want to see how Icy performs. Let's do 3-2 just to see how he does. But this is going to be an interesting match. Next match, the Spuds versus Rift. Everybody here in favor of the Spuds. I'm the only person who gives a map to Rift. A little bit of bias because I saw them recently in the Natcher X community bash, and they looked really good. And also, SEAL Team Spuds have yet to 4-0 a team this season. So I don't have a lot of faith in SEAL Team Spuds. Yes, I get it. Last week, last time I had monitor problems. Still does not excuse the fact that they have not 4-0'd a team yet this season. And our final match here in Discord Indigo A is Fenrir versus Joey. Everybody here in favor of Joey Esports. Nerfed is the only person who's giving a map to Ragnarok Fenrir. But definitely the group of death showing that it is willing to take lives. And it's going to be interesting to see how these teams face out in the few weeks.
Joey and being in a hard group. Name a more iconic duo. Season 6. Season 6 is wild.
Yeah,
Joey
definitely.
Makes the hard group. I mean,
you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong, especially when you're with the preseason runner-ups and SEAL Team Spuds. Definitely can shake a lot of things. And Ragnarok turning back to one team this season. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Indigo A shapes up. All these teams looking kind of nasty, and it'll be interesting to see what team comes out in the end. But enough about the group of death. Now it's time to go to the group of what? As we head into Discord Indigo B. Nerfed, take it away.
I mean, I feel like back in week 1 we were saying we know nothing about these teams, and 3 weeks later I feel like we still know barely anything about any of them. But
not wrong.
I mean, Oreo Fleet versus Hammerhead, 4-0 across the board. Redacted against Poseidon, again, everybody's unanimous 3-1. And Alt F4 versus Space Created. Everybody going with Space Created, however, Bowsy 4-0, everybody else 3-1.
I swear to God, Redacted, if you get reverse swept against Poseidon, we are done. We are done for good. But no, definitely interesting to see this. I have a little more faith in Space Created to finish out Alt F4 than I do anybody else right now. Like, yes, Oreo Fleet did it last week. Alt F4, like, that, yes, they got 2 wins, but this is the weakest group. Hammerhead and Poseidon are not that good. I mean, Hammerhead got 4-0'd by Redacted, who lost 2 times in a row to reverse sweeps. So I think definitely Alt F4 had the benefit of the doubt for the first 2 matches. I think these next few matches are going to be a lot harder.
I think it says a lot that Redacted went to map 5 with the Oreo Fleet. So, like, even though I do have, like, it's hard to predict against them right now.
Yeah, and also they also went to map 5 against Space Created, mind you.
Yeah, like they went to map 5 against 2, like arguably the 2 top teams in their group. and they still have to play Alt F4, right?
They still have to
Yeah.
play, yes, Alt F4.
Like, there's a real chance that if they play that if they win out from here, that if Alt F4 like upsets Space Created, there could be a world where because Space Created loses out and loses Alt F4 into Oreo Fleet, that Space Created to beat. Actually, I guess there is no way. Never mind. There's no way they can make A group. Nope. Okay, I lied. I'm now thinking about it. I lied.
Moving on. Pretty much. Forget Navino said anything. He was lying to you the entire time. No, but anyway, moving on now to Transcendence tier. It's time to transcend up to that tier. Navino, take it away with Transcendence RMA.
I have the wrong image up.
Well,
Don't hate on me. I'm trying to find it. You don't order these really. RMA, right? Yes.
Yeah, I order them via number.
Bruh. Okay, so Swarm Hornets and Sigma, we all have Sigma winning. It's hard to see Swarm Hornets getting a win, whether they're so new. Epi versus Phoenix, we all have Epi winning. Hard to go against the preseason champs who haven't lost a game yet, who outside of Battalion haven't lost a map outside the Battalion game. So I think it's kind of a hot take to say they lose a map to Phoenix, to be honest. And then we got, is that Uzumaki's logo? I don't remember.
No, that is Battalion and
Vengeance.
Vengeance.
Oh, Vengeance. Oh, yeah.
Uzumaki is the spiral.
There's so many like anime sounding teams this season. I want to like you know what I mean, like Uzumaki, Meraki, and then they have the logo for Vengeance is rather anime-ish.
Mhm.
Battalion versus Vengeance. We all have Battalion just winning. Yeah, I was so confused. I was like, Battalion's at 0-3.
Yeah, oops. Let's just say this was all done yesterday. And,
okay, that's fair.
I really should proof check more, but it doesn't help when the background isn't up whenever I do this. So, my fault. Whatever. It'll be fixed next week. It'll just take me a while to do it this week. But yeah.
But pretty straightforward. I think, like, since we all agree, there's not a whole lot to say. I think the only hot take of this is that Phoenix will take a map off Epi.
That might have been a mistake. I don't know. I don't remember why I did that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I can't argue with you. Phoenix are 2-1 right now. Their only loss has been to Reckless Sigma, which they did take a map off. So I don't blame you for saying Phoenix take a map off of Epi, but it's going to be hard to see.
I really think the Trank, it's like the top 4 are just so far ahead of everyone else right now.
Yeah, I honestly feel like that's the same way. So it'll be interesting.
I don't feel that way about is Harmony right now, because Discord, I think top 4 are way far ahead of everyone else.
Mhm.
Trank, the same, like Trans, same thing, and then Harmony is pretty wide open.
Yeah, apart from Harmony U, which the top 4 are going to be at this point.
The top 2 are just
top 2,
top
top 4.
Else.
Yeah, it's all up in the air, but the same thing stands. But that is going to do it here for Transcendence RMA. Okay, good. This next one is Transcendence RMB, and thankfully I did get the records wrong. But unfortunately, we have a sort of situation here. For those who didn't hear, Manifest recently dropped out of a tournament due to roster problems. We salute them. The Tempered Metal org has always been helpful. But you know what that means? It means there's only one match in Transcendence RMB, and it's Maelstrom versus Insidious. And we all have different results for that, but still, there's 2 buys in this. Devil Duke's get a buy, Thoriger Bag get a buy. It's really sad looking at this. And why am I dropping frames? I hate this freaking college. Anyway. Maelstrom versus Insidious. I have a 4-0 for Insidious. Nerfed has a 4-0 for Maelstrom. And Navino has a 3-1 for Insidious. Definitely interesting scores all across the board.
How many buys in a row have Devil Dukes had now?
2 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had a buy. Well, no.
They had a buy.
Maybe not in a row.
It's no team has had a buy 2 weeks in a row, but points.
It's unfortunate. Manifest like that game was going to be good, but Manifest had their issues, and now there's no game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely gonna be interesting to see how these pan out. Because again, like this is the tier where anything can happen. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. But now done with Transcendence R&B, which I labeled as an image as sad in parentheses to these people because it is sad. It is sad.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to Transcendence Indigo A, Nerfed. Take it away.
All right, for Trans Indigo A, we have Danger Close versus Zeus. Pretty split here. Bowsy went 3-1 for Zeus. I went 3-2 Danger Close, and Navino 3-2 for Zeus. Meraki versus Fahrenheit. Again, who remembers the numbers?
214.
214. Bowsy does. Meraki 3-2 for Bowsy. I went 3-1, and Navino went 3-2. Everybody in favor of Meraki. And then this last match, kind of I think this is going to be a pretty hype match. We got Carnage versus Billings Boomers. 3-2 for Boomers for Bowsy. I went 3-2 for Carnage, and Navino 3-1 Boomers.
Yeah, definitely. Carnage versus Billings Boomers is the match to watch this week. Definitely going to be a match to watch here because this is the fight for first. Billings, like, I have been so uncertain about Billings, but this is the match. If they win this, it proves that they are indeed a top 8 team, in my opinion. Carnage has been consistent all season. They've won every match. Billings have that one loss, and I really haven't felt like they've been proving themselves yet. Like, yes, they've gotten a win against, let me see. They got a win against Meraki. Okay, Meraki's probably one of the bottom teams here. And they got a win against Fahrenheit last week because of a forfeit. Okay, that still doesn't really prove it. You're a top 8. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to hold on to that top 8 this week. And also, I think it's safe to say all of us pick Meraki here because Fahrenheit still don't have a roster, I'm pretty sure. Caden's working on one, but like there were 3 drops from Fahrenheit 214 last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear, Nerf, you picked Danger Close over Zeus. And Navino, also, I want to hear your case for a map 5 in this series because Danger Close are 0-3 this season. And Zeus have not lost like a lot of like series thus far. I'm interested to hear.
They got like 4-0'd by Carnage, and I just like, I don't think I like Zeus. Yes, have won, but I just don't think they're good enough to 4-0 or even 3-1. Danger Close, who has decent name recognition.
I think Zeus has gotten pretty lucky so far, and I mean, Danger Close, like, despite being 0-3, they play Meraki to 5, they play Fahrenheit. I mean, it's close, 3-1 before they had any roster issues, and then they take a map off of Carnage last week. So, I mean, while they haven't, like, gotten the win yet, I think that, like, those are okay results for, I mean, the schedule they've had.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Definitely, because that match is going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Danger Close do. But now the final grouping here of the Transcendence tier is Transcendence Indigo B. Navino, take it away.
So we have Puerto Rico versus Decapitators. We all think Puerto Rico loses to Decap. I have a 4-0. Bowsy's 4-0. Nerf gives them a map. Are we real nerfed? I don't see what's happening.
Maybe.
If we pray to Puerto Rico, that as like a nation, that they lend their strength. Maybe they get Seraph on loan from SEAL Team Spuds to MTD Smugs. Then we got Kent State versus Rat Society. I was really kind of conflicted who to put. So I have Rat Society winning. I don't think both have looked particularly good. But it's kind of just like a coin flip to me at that point of who I think will do better. Then we have Zeus. Who is Reckless Arcadia?
Thank you. There you go.
Bro, the Triton, the Triton really threw me off. Okay.
Yeah, I honestly don't blame you there because there's Poseidon in Discord tier as the Trident, and Reckless Arcadia and Transcendence tier is also a Trident.
Versus Uzumaki. I have Arcadia winning 3-2. I think this is the first real test for Uzumaki. Okay, also a glitch. I realize we're not a nation. You know what I meant? The province, the territory. Sass. Word. And so, yeah, that's really all I got. When Yeti said Denzel teams do well, what is the last Denzel team that did well?
What?
Denzel's the coach of Uzumaki.
Oh, okay.
He's been in Trank for a while. I don't think he's been a part of a good team in a long time.
I don't know what teams he's been a part of, so I wouldn't be able to answer.
I'm now going to do research because I'm bored.
That's fair. Listen, it's late. It's 11 o'clock. But yeah, definitely interesting. First off, I don't trust Rat Society anymore. I just don't.
Fair.
I don't. I just have bad history with Rat Society. But
Why
also
did
I got their
everybody,
score
like,
wrong.
I don't know why I already thought they were gonna be like so good at the beginning of the season. Like I heard a lot of hype about them in the preseason, and
About Puerto
I mean,
Rico?
no,
No,
not
about
Puerto
Rat
Rico, Rat
Society.
Society.
Oh,
I mean, I think I could probably find why. Let me look at my transcendent bracket.
I don't see it.
I don't know.
I mean-
Like preseason hype is so hit or miss.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like, half of the teams that don't like you have that who wins preseason is usually going to be your top, like probably your top 8.
Mhm.
Happy.
You know, but outside of like your probably top 3 or 4 teams in preseason, it's like kind of a wash how well you do because
Yeah.
like you saw like Carnage went out in round 1, and I think they're better than Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico made
Mhm.
top 4, I think. You know,
Yeah.
like it's really luck of the draw. Also, yeah, Denzel was on Wildcats season 6 before they imploded. Wildcats were not good season 6 either. What? Yes, Denzel's coached some tier 2 teams, but like,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those teams do. Again, Uzumaki, this is their first test. I mean, they are 2-1, but their wins have been up against Kent State and the previously mentioned Rat Society. Again, I've said they're the only team to take a map off of Decapitators this season, which is big, especially when Reckless Arcadia got swept by Decapitators. So I think if we're looking at that, Uzumaki have the advantage, but I stand the Reckless Org. So
I think someone else took a map off decap. I thought.
I don't think so.
I
That might
think
have
it
been
was a tie. I don't think anybody else won a map.
Was it
yet.
tie? I know they did not 4-0. So, well, you know, I'm just gonna look.
3-0. Arcadia tied a map. They didn't
Yeah,
win
Arcadia
it, though.
tied a map. Okay.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, then my score sheet is wrong. I'm gonna have to update that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see these matches play out here in Transcendence Indigo B. Definitely gonna be interesting to see how those fare out. But for the most part, that's it. That's all 42 matches, 84 team. Yes, 42 matches, 84. I had to do a double check there. 42 matches, 82 teams in Tranquility this week, and it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how these fade out and how these go on throughout this entire week and what the scores look like for each team. Speaking of scores, it's time once again for the scores of the week. I don't know how well this VOD is going to go out, but I'm going to make sure the VOD ends before all these scores are, before everything stops, so I can see the credit scenes. So these scores will be publicized, and if they aren't, I will show them next week. But starting off with our content creation scores from last week, and there were a lot of interesting scores here for week number 3. In 4th place, we have a tie again, which not surprising at this point. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of ties. But in 4th place this week are Apathy and Mr. Yeti with 65 points each.
Well, I think it's the highest scoring week then for top 5.
Yeah, that's 4th place, mind you, 65, and that's just the content creation team. In 3rd place this week for the content creation team is Nerfed with 66 points. In 2nd place for the content creation team is Booth with 67 points.
Did I not even make top 5 this week? Shake my head.
Not in the content creation scores, because in 1st place with a staggering 80 points.
What?
I hope he's not going to be overreacting like he did last week. It's PDK again.
Wow.
80 points.
How many map scores do you have to get wrong for that?
That cannot be a lot of map scores. Like, if you think about it, if it's 42 matches times 3, if I get a calculator out, I will be able to find out how much that is. But that's like 126 points. Yeah, that is 126 points if you get every match correct. So really, he basically got a lot of matches correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bowsy. What was my score? Come on. I gotta know for the ego.
Hold on. I'll get it to you at the end of the show because I have a lot of other scores to go for. Speaking of other scores, we have our top 5 of the week here. So obviously, again, we track the weekly scores for everybody, and this is everybody in the community. Now, in 5th place, this is the first time that this has happened. There is a 5-way tie. There's a 3-way tie for 5th place.
I was like 5-way tie.
No, there's not a 5-way tie. That would have been too many words. I already have too many words. Now, what I usually do is I would put the same number. When it comes to 5th place, I had to put it so they're all in the same line. In 5th place this week, 3 people, Toxic, Boof, and Choi Suwon, each with 67 points this week.
Wow. This is a high-scoring week, guys.
Trust me, it gets higher.
If PDK is not first, oh my god.
In 4th place is Glitch with 74 points.
Bruh.
In 3rd place is Cry with 75 points. In 2nd place is PDK with 80 points.
Who got higher?
And in 1st place,
It's a Toxic, I swear.
it's not Toxic. I already said Toxic's 5th.
Oh, you did. Okay,
Yeah.
you're right.
In 1st place this week, shocking everybody with his first week of predicting, is Greninja with 82 points.
Wow.
Battalion running away with the top 2 this week. In the week. So definitely
82.
interesting. Yeah, 82. That is the highest score so far this year. It's not the highest average score because yes, it is the highest score of all time, but we have 6 more matches that people can predict this week. The highest score obviously is Cry with 79 last season, or at least that's what I was told by Booth, but 82 points, still a very good score. And now, of course, it is time for the final one, which is the overall community member scores this week. In 4th place, Navino, you'll be happy to hear that your name is at least mentioned once. There is a tie for 4th. It is between you and Hayes with 171 points total. In 3rd place, overall, throughout the entire length, is Toxic with 180 points.
Jeez.
In 2nd place is Cry with 183 points. And taking the lead this week, it comes as no surprise that it's PDK with 187 points. He is currently your community member leader throughout all of Tranquility. Definitely earning up to that title. And definitely a lot of interesting scores this week, especially like people like me being kicked out of every single ranking because I made the most ballsy predictions and got every single one of them right. I'm going to be crying after this broadcast.
You mean wrong?
You know what I mean. But any sort of comments from you guys throughout the entire show before we wrap it up here for the ending?
I'm surprised I didn't fall out of top 5 after not placing this week in either content or in in overall.
Yeah, let me tell you, I will tell you the overall rankings for everybody. It's pretty close. I can actually look it up right here. Yeah, literally, Navino, it's a 3-point difference between you and 6th place. So you were pretty good.
Oh, wow.
And when it came to this week's rankings, for content creation team, Navino, I will tell you, you were 6th by a point. You were 6th by 1 point.
Couldn't keep the streak alive. Curse you, Yeti, and apathy.
I had to break it to him then and there. But yeah, definitely interesting scores. Interesting scores all the week through. But yeah, it's gonna get more and more interesting, especially now that we know teams are gonna be in the sort of ranking status. It's gonna get nuts for these final 2 weeks. But that is gonna do it for us this week of predicting Tranquility. Before we go, we might as well mention the feature matches this week. First off, make sure to tune in tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. At least that's what I think, because obviously daylight savings time has happened here in the East.
It's EDT. It's EDT now.
EDT, 2:30 EDT. It depends on if they decide to change it. But at that time, we'll be featuring our EU feature match, which is Feeders United versus Thunderbolt Rewind. If that doesn't happen at 2:30, it'll happen at 3:30 EDT, because I think they are still an hour behind us. Next up on that later that day at 8:30 EDT is the most tongue-twisting matchup, Navino, and I hope you're ready for it because we're casting it together. It's FBRD versus Big Bang Buccaneers, which, again, is the true testament for FBRD, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. One of us is going to twist our tongue at least once, Navino, because we're both signed up for that. It depends on if we're actually casting that day or not. But yeah, that'll be an interesting match. On Wednesday is Carnage versus Billings Boomers, another match where teams are trying to prove themselves. So that'll be interesting to see. And then on Thursday is our Discord tier feature match, which is Oreo Fleet versus Hammerhead this week. again, definitely interesting matches to catch up with. And of course, after the broadcast on Thursday is our feature match. Is not our feature match. It's the beat drop. Which this week we'll have a bunch of interviewees. I don't think that's been announced yet, or it hasn't been made public yet. But regardless, it's going to be a good show nonetheless. But any last comments from you two before we close it out?
Get good at the video game.
You play your games on time, please.
Fair enough. We'll see. Yeah, I can definitely vouch for you. By the way, I forgot to mention those scores did not include one match that happened earlier today. They did not include Paid to Win versus Snubble Gold because Booth could not get the scores in. But rest assured, we will have those scores in next week. But please get your matches in early. It helps us here in the predicting booth. But that is going to do it for us here today. For Navino and Nerfed, my name is Finn Balzi. We hope you had an amazing time watching Predicting Tranquility. Until we meet again, we hope you have an amazing night. And again, I'm sorry for the streaming problems. I swear to God, they'll be fixed by next week.
Nope, they won't.
Shut it.